everybody, hope you're all doing well. So today we're going to be looking at a play we haven't looked at yet, Titus Andronicus. As always, the monologue is in the description below. Take a moment to pause me, read it, and then come on back. So, Titus. The reason we haven't looked at this one yet, the reason I've gone back and done, multiples of other ones, but not gone with this new play that we haven't looked at yet, is because, frankly, I've been trying to figure out how best to talk about Titus, given the amount of violence in it. It is probably the bloodiest of Shakespeare's plays. I'll give you an example. We're in Act 1, Scene 1 for the monologue we're looking at today, and a character is begging for the title character not to kill her firstborn child. Yeah, we're starting off with blood. And so let's take a look at this, what's happened up to this point. So this is where we look at, we have to look at the moment before, since this is the beginning of the show. We don't have a scene before this to actually look at. And so in the moment before, Titus Andronicus, title character, general of Rome, has gone to fight in the north against the Goths, and he's won. Yay for Rome. And he is bringing back as his captive Tamora, queen of the Goths, and her children, her sons. Now, this was a fairly standard practice back in Roman day, where you'd bring back somebody very important to basically parade around and say, look at what I caught, and look at what I beat. It's not very nice, but it's what they did. So Titus, however, during the course of the fighting, lost his firstborn child, and so decides, as kind of a eye for an eye type of revenge, to take Tamora's firstborn child. And she begs, pleads for her son's life. Titus says, nope, not listening, and kills him anyway. Which leads to the rest of the play, because Tamora eventually, she marries the Emperor of Rome, she becomes Titus's superior in social standing, and makes his life absolutely miserable. Yeah, so Titus, really, buddy, you should have listened to the lady. So what we're looking at, though, today is this monologue from the beginning, so we don't have to think about in terms of the events that happen later. And so here's the interesting thing about this, is that Tamora, in the course of this monologue, makes a great appeal to Titus's pride, Titus's mercy, and Titus's just fatherhood. Those are the three things she really appeals towards. So she calls him a gracious conqueror. She calls him victorious. The last line, thrice noble Titus. So she's building up on him. She's basically like, please, great sir, you who have, soundly beaten my countrymen, Like, she plays really highly to Titus's pride in the fact that he is a victorious general. She also pleads to his mercy as a father, because she holds out the fact that, look, you care for your sons. It's clear you care for your sons. Can you see that I do not also care for my sons in the same way that you care for yours? She appeals to kind of a sense of godliness and like asking, would you be like the gods and be merciful? And she tries all of these things. She tries pleading with his emotions, pleading with his pride, pleading with his intelligence on things, and he still ignores her. So here's the thing about Tamora and what we can do with this, is we can look, while we can't look at the events that happen later, we can look at how she handles them to get a sense of how she would handle this. When we look at the character development, what we're going to be doing is, yes, we can't play in Act 1, Scene 1, the events of Act 5. We cannot play that Tamora is making Titus's life miserable at this moment, because at this moment, Titus hasn't done anything to make Tamora want that kind of revenge. He's about to do it, but he hasn't done it yet. However, the intelligence and cunning that Tamora shows throughout the rest of this play, we can use, because we can tell, because she uses that intelligence and cunning for everything, that is part of her typical character. And therefore, she would be handling this situation in that same way. So, on top of that, we can also look at the emotional side of this character in the fact that she is begging for her first son's life. And first children were really, really important in that time period, because they were the ones who were supposed to inherit. They were the first, they were the best, etc., etc., etc. Also, especially if a first son lasted as long as Tamora's first son has, that means they were healthy and probably were going to do very well in life. So we could play as the distraught, emotional mother pleading for her son, but given what we know about Tamora, given how we know she handles everything with that cunning and intelligence, there should be an underpinning of that emotion, but it should not be the major thing, or at least that's my opinion. Another director might have another way of putting it. Another director might put that emotion above the intelligence because of the high stakes here. So like I said, I'm thinking personally that Tamora's appeals and Tamora's intelligent appeals to Titus are the more important thing, and they should just be underpinned with that emotional strength in that emotional situation that she's in. So let's try it. Stay, Roman brethren, gracious conqueror, victorious Titus, rue the tears I shed, a mother's tears in passion for her son. And if thy sons were ever dear to thee, oh, think my son to be as dear to me. Sufficeth not that we are brought to Rome, to beautify thy triumphs and return, captive to thee into thy Roman yoke? But must my sons be slaughtered in the streets for valiant doings in their country's cause? Oh, if to fight for king and commonwealth were piety in thine, it is in these. Andronicus, stain not thy tomb with blood. Wilt thou draw near the nature of the gods? Draw near them then in being merciful. Sweet mercy is nobility's true badge. Thrice noble Titus, spare my firstborn son. And as I've said, unfortunately Titus does not listen, and the rest of the play happens. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye!